Reunions are supposed to be about memory, laughter, the strange comfort of realizing you survived awkward teenage years and came out the other side. In 2015, Meadowbrook High decided to celebrate its class of '95. 20 years gone, 20 years of marriages, divorces, careers, kids, losses. The gym was decorated in gold and blue. A banner stretched across the bleachers. "Welcome back, class of '95. By 8 p.m., the gym was buzzing. A DJ played hits from the '90s. Old yearbooks sat open on tables, corners curled and pages marked with sticky notes. Balloons floated toward the ceiling, and in one corner, a slideshow cycled through pictures of teenagers in oversized jackets, glittery dresses, and hairstyles everyone regretted. And among the crowd was Emily Carter. Emily had always been the kind of person people remembered. In high school, she'd been a cheerleader, a volunteer, a friend who made you feel seen. She was voted most likely to brighten your day in D yearbook, and it stuck. 2 decades later, she hadn't lost that glow. She was the one hugging old classmates tightly, laughing at how time had treated them, leaning into pictures with a smile that looked unchanged. But sometime between the group photo and the last dance, Emily Carter vanished. Around 9:15, Emily was photographed laughing with 2 of her closest friends by the punch bowl. At 9:40, several classmates saw her walking toward the east hallway. One said she was with a man, though they couldn't recall his face. Another swore she walked alone. By 10 o'clock, people noticed her chair was empty, her purse still tucked under the table, her jacket still draped on the back of her chair. By midnight, when the DJ played the final song, her car still sat in the parking lot. She had simply disappeared into thin air. When police reviewed the school's cameras, they found something chilling. Emily was clearly seen entering the reunion at 8:47, smiling. Not a single camera caught her leaving. The next morning, officers searched the school near the east stairwell. In a dusty trophy case filled with old plaques and medals, they found something strange. Dust covered every shelf, except one, as if someone had leaned there. Wedged into the frame was a folded piece of paper. In faded ink, it read, "Some debts never die." The handwriting was unfamiliar. No signature, no explanation. Who left it? And what debt did it mean? At first, investigators looked at her adult life. Emily had worked as a dental assistant, was recently divorced, and had moved back to Meadowbrook to be closer to her parents. Friends said she was happy. No enemies. No suspicious relationships. But when detectives pulled old school records, a different story surfaced. In 1994, during senior year, a hazing prank had gone wrong. A shy student named Paul Whitaker had been humiliated in front of the class. He dropped out weeks later. His family moved. He was never seen in Meadowbrook again. 2 decades later, his name appeared again. At the entrance of the reunion, there was a guest book. Just a formality, something the planning committee thought would be fun. People signed names, added notes, drew doodles. Flipping through the pages, detectives found a signature written in shaky cursive: Paul Whitaker. No address, no phone number, just a name. When police interviewed attendees, no one remembered seeing him. No one recalled a stranger slipping in, and yet his name was right there in ink. Months passed with no progress. Flyers went up, candlelight vigils were held. Emily's parents begged for answers on local news. Then, hikers in the woods behind the high school stumbled upon something buried beneath leaves. A leather-bound journal. Inside were entries written in angry, obsessive tones. Pages described betrayal, debts, unfinished business. One entry read, "She laughed while I drowned. They all laughed, but I remember." The final page was dated the night of the reunion. It read, "She will see me tonight." Tucked in the back cover was a photograph from the reunion. Emily Carter at the punch bowl, smiling. A faint X had been drawn over her face. Handwriting analysis suggested it matched Paul Whitaker's old assignments. But where was Paul? Theory 1. Paul returned for revenge. Some believe Paul came back that night after 2 decades of silence, leaving his mark in the guest book and taking Emily as part of a long-planned revenge. The note in the trophy case, the journal, the X across her face. All pointed to old grudges finally carried out. Theory 2. Someone else used Paul's name. Others argue the opposite, that Paul never returned at all. That someone used his name to distract investigators, covering their own crime. Perhaps an old classmate, someone who carried their own resentment, used Paul's story as a mask. Theory 3. Emily knew too much. Another theory suggests Emily herself discovered something that night. Some classmates remembered her arguing quietly with another alum near the hallway. Maybe she confronted the wrong person about the past and paid the price. Years later, the Meadowbrook gym still hosts games and dances. But for those who attended the reunion, it feels heavier. The class of '95 doesn't hold reunions anymore. Too many ghosts. Emily's parents keep her car in their garage, untouched. Her chair at Christmas dinner sits empty. Friends still scroll through the group photo from that night, staring at her frozen smile, wondering how she could vanish in a crowded room and never return. A purse under a table, a jacket on a chair, a car untouched in the lot, a note in a trophy case, a name in a guest book, a journal buried in the woods. What happened to Emily Carter at her high school reunion? Was it an old date-come due? Or did someone use memory itself as a weapon, turning laughter and nostalgia into silence?